Talking about a very important subject. If you have a daughter or a stepdaughter, you know that keeping her self-image can sometimes be very difficult. These are the kinds of images girls are bombarded with on a daily basis, from TV shows to music videos to magazines. There's a camp for girls to help improve their self-image, and the founder joins us this morning. It's called the Bridges Camp, and this is Lori Sleva, who started this camp because you went through your own issues as well growing up.
Yes, I did.
With an eating disorder as well.
I did, yeah. It started in high school, went through a couple years of college, and really just came out of probably a desire to fit in and be accepted.
It is so, I'm always amazed. It's so hard, in my opinion, to be a girl. I think it's much more difficult to be a young girl than a young boy because of these images that we just showed. You're constantly told, this is what's pretty, here's how you should look, you're a little bit too heavy. I mean, how do you break that cycle and help these girls learn to love themselves?
The bottom line behind it is we believe that every girl has a story, and we give them a voice. And so the girls can share with other peers, and they realize that they're not alone, and they hear similar stories, and they're able to build confidence through that and find their true authentic selves, kind of come back to who they really are outside of what expectations that are put on them.
Well, it's a great environment too. You're up in Flagstaff, you're on the campus of NAU, it's beautiful. What's a typical day like for campers?
Typical day, the girls have a mixture of some large group activities like what you're seeing on the screen now, and then we have girls circle activities, which is the small group where they really get to know each other and talk about those important issues. They talk about the things that really matter most to girls that they don't usually get to share, about body image, about relationships with their peers and mean girls, bullying cliques, just really breaking down the walls on stereotypes and how we treat each other. And so just really important things that the girls can realize that, other girls are experiencing the same kinds of pain.
Eating disorders are so common. Do you find that at this camp they tend to open up about those? Because most girls really don't admit that they have one. Can you usually spot it pretty quickly?
Yeah, they do, and it's not necessarily that the girls come to camp because they have an eating disorder, but what we find is that all women, no matter what the age, deal with some kind of self-loathing or worrying so much about their appearance and what they look like. So we get all different ranges of how the girls feel about themselves, but the bottom line is all the girls have issues with it in one way or another.
Let's give some tips for parents in case your daughter can't attend this camp. There are some tips that we as parents can do to help our daughters.
Yes.
And one of them is share activities with your daughter. Be active with your daughter, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Important that parents often say that when their daughters get to be teenage years, the communication lines start to shut down. And so one of the important things, if you want to keep those communication lines open, is to do things that are fun for both of you, and then the conversation can start naturally and it doesn't seem like an interrogation.
Well, and that's, I think, the next one is one reason probably communication dies. A lot of teenage girls think that you're judging them.
Absolutely. Yeah, this one's very important. One of the best ways to empower your teenage daughter is just to listen. Listen to understand, rather than being quick to judge. So reserve your judgment and just try to understand where she's at.
I think the next one's really important. I think a lot of parents, when they have a daughter who always thinks she looks ugly or it doesn't look right, your instinct is to compliment them on how great they look. But to me, that can also be bad because you're still emphasizing that that's important instead of the internal strengths, which you say you really need to focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of backwards to what you might think in saying you want to compliment them on how they look, but it is really important to compliment them on their internal strengths, and that way they're not always seeking out those things that are going to make them feel that it comes from the outside.
It's also a struggle, I think, for parents to make sure they don't, their daughters don't overhear them talking about someone else's appearance. It's easy to watch a TV show and go, oh, they look terrible. But again, that reinforces that that's important, that matters.
Yeah. Yeah, being a role model for moms especially, girls are going to look to what they hear at home first. And if the mom is looking in the mirror at herself and saying those things, a lot of moms know it has to start with them, and they still haven't figured out a way to help themselves with that.
Right.
And then also, just like you said, if you see other women when you're at the gym and you're working out and you have that thing that goes off in your head that you want to say something negative about someone next to you, make sure that it's always positive, even in your own head, so that you can be a role model for her.
And then finally, girls go through a lot of changes and they don't know who to talk to about them. A lot of times they get information from their girlfriends, but it's best to get it from your parents.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I think in our society isn't expressed enough is that girls need to be celebrated, that when they go through puberty that they're going to develop beautiful women's bodies, and that they shouldn't expect their body to look like a 14-year-old's body for a long time.
Right.
So prepare them that that's beautiful and that that's what they should look forward to, like a rite of passage.
I think it's great what you've done. It's bridgescamp.com. This is what, the second or third year you said?
Second year.
Congratulations on starting this. And we've got the information on our hotline. Are you still taking applicants for the summer?
We are. We have our high school camp starts in 1 week.
Okay.
So it's the week of June 21st through the 27th, and we still have a few spaces left in that camp. And then our middle school camp is July 19th.
Yeah, that's right. It's middle school girls as well. Great job, Lori. And again, the information on our hotline and our website.